I've been over 2 decades on the site. And one of the things I first noticed about the site is its location. It's so unique because the school is literally suspended over the San Mateo Creek. And for me, that resonated for me as an opportunity for children to see the beauty of nature around them all the time. So as a parent, I appreciated it, but it wasn't till I was a member of staff and I met the computer specialist, Janice Richardson, and she says, hey, I've started a small group of kids called Green Ambassadors. And this was over 15 years ago. And she said, we're going to focus on recycling and we have a little garden. Would you like to join me and inspire kids? And the time we were given was lunch. And lunch is only 40 minutes at South School. And it's important to give kids an opportunity to eat. And then you have 20 minutes to get out and inspire them. In spite of these time constraints, we found that kids loved coming out and being a green ambassador. It was something that students would volunteer for. It was handled differently by different classrooms. And it started kind of small and it grew and then it just kind of built. And when Erin joined the staff, we teamed up. And at that time, we became aware of all the efforts of the county. We had just been in our own little bubble, working our own little thing. And when we learned that San Mateo County was a real leader in green initiatives, it opened our eyes to what other districts were doing. So Erin and I joined a roundtable and we learned about big initiatives that were happening in other school districts. And part of our focus was to learn there, but also to bring change back to our district. We're a small district. We wanted to inspire bigger changes at the district level. Erin then told me about the summer programs. I was delighted to be able to be part of the solutionary unit for zero waste this past summer in 2020, and then to do a whole unit with my 3rd grade class this year, which was a great opportunity because in the library, I wouldn't have been able to do it in the same way that I could do it as a classroom teacher. And for my kids, it was very impactful to run a litter drive. And just recently we did a creek cleanup of the San Mateo Creek for Earth Day. And this was kind of combining all that learning plus Earth Day, plus the creek in their backyard. The excitement was like this high. And I'm hoping that that's one of those things that will resonate with them for the rest of their life in the same way that nature was something powerful for me as a child. I'm hoping to give that same sense of wonder through lessons, our location, and the guidance of the county to this next group of kids at South School.
And honestly, it is, you know, Erin and Sally, as I had said, and I know Sally shared a little bit, they really were the inspiration for this work. I just felt like, you know, it is COVID, right? Do we want to take on this huge application process right now? But to me, I wanted to honor the work that they've been doing. And they inspired other teachers here on campus to do this work. So our 5th grade teacher had found ways to work with her students around a national geo challenge with reducing plastics. And our 3rd grade teacher went to a point where she removed trash can from her classroom so she could just have like smaller receptacle for you know, recycling and composting. We have a program that we help students learn about during lunchtime so that they know where to funnel their waste. So we have a recycling, we have a compost, and then we have a trash bin. And so our students get training on like what goes where. So again, it's all of this work that it's been taking place here that was really the inspiration for you know, taking on the application, because it is a bear. It was a 45-page document is what it ended up being. And truthfully for me, like I had no expectations at all. I told our superintendent, I was like, we're gonna do this. I'm going to apply. I know what's gonna happen. I don't want you to expect anything, but you know, I need to do this. I just felt very passionate about it, as I said, honoring the work that's happening here. And I've had parents say to me that their kids go home and they teach them what to do at home. Like, no, mom, this does not go in the trash. So it just, again, it's such a part of the culture here. And I just so appreciate it. And I felt like I needed to honor it and acknowledge it. And I think this, the opportunity to apply for a Green Ribbon Award was the way to go. And it doesn't mean that we're done, right? We still have a lot more work ahead of us.
I have my own little list of my own little checklist, and one of my things, well, Naomi, you'll appreciate this, is food waste. It that year when I did do the SMELC PD and we did the food waste unit, it really did become like, I don't know, very apparent what's happening in the lunchroom, and it doesn't feel necessary. It feels like this is a solvable issue, not necessarily easily. And I think that COVID might put a wrench in some of that, but it's definitely heavy on my mind, and I'd like to take some steps in that direction. And then of course, we just have to continue our work with plastic. And I think that in my own mind, I haven't had a chance to discuss this with Sally yet, but I've been reading all these articles recently about recycling, and our recycling isn't being purchased anymore, and the efficiency of these efforts. I understand, and I still believe that all of our sorting efforts are important, but I feel like our shift needs to be in consumption, like to thinking about what do we buy, getting our kids and our families to think about what do we buy. And if we can have any influence over manufacturers in any way, I think that's where my mind's going to be going. So if I'm planning student projects for the future, those are the kinds of things I'll be thinking about. Getting the students involved in what's happening and the changes that are taking place is pretty key, not only because they're the main people on the campus, but also because they're very influential. They influence their parents, they influence their teachers. They want the adults in their life to sort of like participate and be invested. And I think that and I also think that the more they're involved in sort of making the decisions about what's happening and how it's happening, the more invested that they are. So just however and whenever you can get them involved in your process, I think that's a good thing to do.
I'm going to add on to Erin. I think it's key that the students are involved. And I'd say to teachers, it's going to be easier than you think. And whatever you teach at your level, your classroom environment will expand out in ways that you're not always going to be aware of. So you're going to be instrumental in changing a child's way of thinking for their life. That's worth the time, even if it's just little bits here and there. And I think it's always important to think, what is the one step I can take? We've been talking about changes at a district level, at a site level. Every teacher has the power to make that change in their classroom starting tomorrow by what you talk about, what you focus on, and it's going to change a child's life.
And I would completely agree with everything they said. It really does start with our students because they do inspire us. I mean, this is why we're all educators, right? We do it for the kids. And the cliche obviously that they are the future. So if, the more they know, the more they've learned a practice and built a habit, I think the better it will be in general for our world, right? But I also would say, as a piece of advice, don't be afraid to get your administrators involved. Like out there, have the conversations, share the work that is happening maybe in your little microcosm of a classroom. Because I think, you sort of have to have those conversations. And that's, I think, what moves the work forward. So don't be afraid to have those conversations with your leaders, with your administrators, with your district people. And I would just say, maybe don't do it when it's a pandemic, but But maybe do take the risk. 'Cause look where we are. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Just, move the work. And if you're passionate, I think that will come through and people will listen. So